What's the biggest roof you've ever done?
It was this year actually. So this is our 8th year in business. We did a roof. Technically, it was one residential. So we've done a couple of apartment complexes, but that doesn't count. That's five or six, probably $600,000 jobs there. But the residential roof that we did is one job. It was technically four buildings on the same property, and they were all standing seam. It ended up being $146,000 in the South or in Georgia. That's a huge job. I know a
146
lot.
for one residential roof,
One job, one contract. Yes.
one contract. There's multiple buildings.
Yep.
Should we
It was
let
big.
that? Should we let that count? Multiple buildings.
Yeah. Because everybody has detached garages or
Oh
like
yeah.
sheds. At the end of the day, all that matters is how much money is it in that one customer. That's really what it is.
Is it how much money is it or how much profit is it?
It's definitely profit. That was a very profitable job, but people like to talk about how large it is too. Because there's a lot
Yeah,
of
of
people,
course.
they're in Florida or Arizona. One of our contractors in Arizona doing like these tile jobs, or New England does slate, and just like the Northwest as well. Everything's expensive in all the West Coast, Northwest, Northeast. Super expensive compared to like the middle and south of the country.
Yeah. The why do you don't see, I mean, typically you don't see a lot of slate roofs and stuff in the South. Is it, what is the reason for that? I've always wondered because I think they're obviously so cool, but I know they're really expensive. Is it a price thing? Is it is it an environment thing? What is the main driver? Why do people not do slate down in Savannah
It's
or
so
Georgia?
in Savannah there is a lot of slate, but
Oh no.
in Augusta there's slate, but it's gonna be historic homes, like really wealthy plantation owners. That's who had it. They had slate roofs. It was super expensive back then. It's even more, even with inflation, more expensive to do that versus any traditional roofing. In the Northeast, up in New England, it really makes sense based on the weather that's up there. In the South, it doesn't really make sense from a lot of reasons. There's so many skilled people actually drive all over the country that do slate because there's so few tradesmen that can actually install it correctly. Um, yeah, I mean it's a cool thing. I have no real desire. I've been asked to do slate a bunch, and our guys say, "Yeah, we can do it." And like, no, you can't because there's slate is custom made depending on what you're doing. If it's real slate, there are hangers on the slate that you have to, you know, be super accurate when you're popping your chalk lines. There's so many technical things that I just when you're doing valleys or anything that has to do with details, you have to have a really high skill set to be able to trim those pieces of slate so that they're straight, cut them, and then use a slate hammer to be able to actually make it look nice. So, in general, the slate's going to go away, and more of the synthetic um, or metal coated roofing is going to take over because it's just easier to control, easier to train, easier to install.
And looks very similar.
Looks the same.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, is it a wind? So like does wind slate not do well with high winds?
No, it does great with high winds. It is
Oh
awesome.
really?
It's super heavy because even like the synthetic stuff, everything that's not real slate is lighter in general.
Hmm.
That could be a generalization, but it probably is true. So it's all going to be really good wind rating. It's going to be good hail rating. Um, it's really hard to match the stone though if there's ever a repair needed for some reason.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer. We've had a lot of people. I mean, in Athens too, we had a family friend of mine has a slate roof, and I was like, we can't match that, and he's like, why not? Because it's not from the same quarry.
Right,
It's
yeah.
it's different than any other. Even with even with cedar shake, you can at least stain it all the same to make it look the same. Not
Yeah.
with slate though.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I've seen like the videos of guys knocking it out. They got the hammer and they're like
Yep.
knocking holes in it. It's very, very impressive. But yeah, I wonder if it's also just you're talking about historic homes. There's just a lot fewer historic homes in the South than the North for
Yeah.
reasons.
For a lot of reasons,
For a
good
lot of reasons, yeah.
But even the ones that want to stay historic, the cost, the income level in the South is so much lower than the North. So the cost to renovate it completely originally is astronomically unaffordable. You know, spend X amount of dollars and spend probably double that on the renovation or triple that on the renovation just to keep it up to the historical guidelines.
Yeah, keep it in mind. Yeah. Well, talking about pricing, let's talk about these price increases. Is there's like a 5 to 8% price increase coming January 1st, right?
Yeah, it's actually 8 to 10%. So all
8
the
to 10%.
manufacturers, yeah, all the manufacturers are saying they've actually sent us letters, at least in the South, twice this year, and they actually haven't followed through on the price increase. So say, hey, we're having a price increase in 45 days, and they have not increased it.
Why do you think that is? Why would they not go through with the price increase?
They're trying to predict market trends, and so they're seeing supply demand issues, and they're seeing things slow down. So they know that if, you know, they're trying to move shingles, specifically asphalt shingles. They're trying to move them, sell them from, and the distributors are just, you know, they're not selling them to contractors because contractors are slow. And so we've been really fortunate and blessed this year, but it has not been shingles, asphalt shingles. It's been a lot of metal and just other big jobs in general. So quantity of jobs for us is it's not down, but it's not the growth that we like to see from shingles, where it's just harder and harder to sell roofs. There's a lot of people for the past 24 months for us, maybe 30 months. We've had a lot of estimates go out. People get sticker shock. They get more estimates from other roofing contractors, and then they never do anything. I mean, Cameron and I often compare notes on roofs that we have given proposals to 6, 12, 18 months ago. They've never done their roof. The expectation is, and I think we need to do a better job about it, this is that, like plywood, roofing is going to go down. And look at history, it has never gone down. There's never been a significant decrease in roofing costs for the homeowner. So,
So you think they're just waiting? They were like, "Oh, it'll be better next
Yeah.
year."
yeah, a lot of people are saying, and it may be their own personal situation. Like, we're gonna, you know, have a better, more stable income stream for us. And maybe it'll go down. And we, you know, as contractors, we're not really doing a great job of communicating that it's not going down and it's only going up. I've got a half a dozen as I'm talking, thinking about these roofs that were, you know, $30,000 last year and getting close to 40,000 now, and they haven't done the roof yet. And it's just like they're, you know, they're really nice homes, and they're wanting to do, you know, either do financing or not do financing. We need to do a better job about showing and presenting financing options. But if homeowners don't realize that it's not going down anytime soon, they're going to be in bad situations. And it's unfortunate for everyone, but owning a home is the most expensive it's ever been. Not just purchasing it, but actually maintaining it. And so that is something that we have to really help people understand and start working with lenders